Next, I actually have Giri. Right, Giri is going to share with us his journey. Right, Giri is interesting because Giri started off in the SME, right, and then he actually started a company with a bunch of guys. Right, the name of the company is called Sambash, which means conversation in Sanskrit. Right. Yeah. So he's going to share a little bit about what his journey is all about, right? And really, you know, what he has done, right, with his startup right now to actually make sense of his journey so far. So, do you want to look up?
Sure.
Yeah. So, without further ado, I'll pass the floor to
Giri.
Do you have a USB?
No. Just take.
What do you need?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for your time. So I need to tell you why I'm here, right? So I think I know some of you from my past interactions over here. Last year, about this time, when Czech started off the entrepreneurship SIG, I shared about Sambash. So this time he was saying, don't talk about your company, talk about your journey, right? And so I was reluctant, and every Monday I pull out, and he says, Czech has to find another speaker. So this has been going on for the last few weeks. My apologies to Czech for that, because I was not ready in terms of trying to say whether I should be talking about my professional life or about the personal life, because journey is just about life, right? And then yesterday he said, Tracy is speaking. I said, wow, I've worked with them in the past at one of the projects that we have got. I said, let's see how we can, let me just get over the initial resistance that I have inside me to try and say, to talk about this journey, right? So let me start about my journey. And when I start about my journey, I have just worked for two companies in my life. One was System Access, which was bought out by Giridhar. So when I started off System Access in 1995, just finished my education back in India, came over here because my parents were staying. And throughout my life, I was in a residential school. I said, wow, I get to stay with my parents in a place like Singapore. I said, let me come down and stay. So I gave up the job offers over there and I was struggling to find a job. Getting a job was easy, but you know, getting EP is much more difficult. And that too in 1995. So I had to struggle a little bit, had to go out of country a few times, come back, and finally got my employment passes, joined System Access. So getting System Access was also very interesting for me because the CEO of the company at that point of time was, it's always been Leslie Lowe. So he had never hired a fresher. So I had to say, give me a chance. If you give me half an hour of your time, I get a job if I can impress you. If I don't impress you, I just use half an hour of your time, right? So he said, okay, fine. We went in, the discussion period down to 2 hours. He put me to another set of colleagues, and there I was, starting my journey with System Access as a fresher. And at that point of time, System Access was only 20 people strong, just based in Singapore. We were just venturing out into Manila, and it was a core banking software. So it was a very nice opportunity for me to be able to hone my skills, to explore, because I was their so-called default research guy who used to do all the stuff that the product didn't have at that point of time. And that allowed me to scale a lot, that allowed me to explore a lot, and it allowed me to travel a lot. So the travel, the exposure it gave to me in terms of trying to interact with people. At that point of time, I was just a rookie out of 23, 25 years old, working with people in different labs and different companies at IBM and HP and all who had 30 years of work experience. That helped me a lot, right? So that experience that helped me actually gave me a lot of confidence in terms of trying to say of how and what we can do. At the same time, the company grew. So we grew out from Singapore into Manila, into Bratislava, into London, into New Jersey, and that exposure and the ability to go to all of these places to deal with prospects and clients in different countries. So we used to have a lot of client base in Russia and in China. It allowed the multicultural engagement that had to happen. So it helped me to look in that perspective. And I thought, when System Access was bought over by SunGard in 2006, that's it. I have seen the entire world, and now I can start up on my own. My gosh, I was very wrong, because working for a startup which is owned by someone else, you go through a lot of pain. You go through a lot of months where your salaries are ups and you have ups and down swings. You think you have seen it all. But when you start off on your own, then you have a different set of problems. And that is what Chuck said. I think you got to come and talk to us about it, because at the end of the day, it's not about a product, it's not about a company, it's also the fact that what you undergo in this journey which makes it more interesting. So we decided, we stayed on for 2 years in System Access, and we, as in the founding team of Sambash, and we said, okay, we have done this transition from System Access to SunGard, we have handed over the product, and that product, what is known as Symbols, became Ambit. It became the core banking engine for the entire of SunGard. So we were a 500 people strong company. From 20 to 500, we were in an ocean of 25,000 people. SunGard is 25,000 people. And we said, fine, I mean, our journey ends there. We have handed over everything. We have made it as the bedrock of all the banking products of SunGard. And let's continue, let's come out and start our journey. So that's where Sambash comes in. The reason why we chose Sambash is from the root word Sambhashana, which is conversation. Okay, so I came into this slide. So what we did was we started off trying to put in the definition into practice. So we wanted to enable conversation. So our journey started off with trying to create a social platform on the cloud where we could allow companies to create their own communities, to create their own interaction layer. And as we started scaling it, we went into associations. The associations were first target customers because they were membership driven. Membership driven was our target customer. The membership driven organization was our target customers. So as we went into those organizations, we realized that they are far and few, and large enterprises were just emerging to use social technologies. Facebook and LinkedIn was just at the cusp of becoming global in 2007, 2008. And when we started off, actually, we were starting at the wrong time. Lehman Brothers had just collapsed in 2008 September, and we started in October. So that journey basically made us go into a different ways of how we are trying to do it. We went in and we started scaling our business brick by brick, block by block, right? So this is some of our clients. So when we started scaling this particular stuff, we got entrenched into the B2B space, and B2B space, the growth was not fast enough for us, right? We had a steady growth. We had steady growth, we had steady sales, we had steady stuff coming to place. We experimented a lot in terms of scaling. I'm just showing a sample of our clients so that we can see as to we went across industries, across domains, across conversation that happens within the organization and external to the organization. Now we might be wondering what's conversations. Conversations can be for a specific, it can be specific event driven. It can be a teamwork collaboration that happens. It can be across a community of internal and external people. It can be specific to a process of how we want to engage, of how a company wants to engage innovation, open innovation. It can be also for a specific purpose of how companies want to drive their events, right? And that is where I ended up working with the Tracy on one of the MediaCorp events for startup, which is a reality show. So in all of these things, we realized that we are adding value, but the sales cycle is taking a lot of time. So then we had to go back to the drawing board. And drawing board was what we did in the last 1 year. So that is where Chuck has been observing. I have been working with Chuck for the last 7 years, and he has been observing as to how things are changing and what is the struggle that we have gone through, and what is the way we are trying to fine-tune ourselves in terms of our growth. So when we went into this growth, we worked with an external lady who under the CBG grant comes into place. So we worked with somebody who was heading Salesforce and Microsoft previously, and that helped us to fine-tune ourselves from going away from trying to say enabling meaningful conversation into a very specific pitch of being a social CRM platform player, where we basically help companies to achieve exponential growth. Right? So today, when I say meaningful conversations, it does not ring a bell, because this is what has been happening in the last 10 minutes. I can see a lot of questions. What is this guy trying to do here, right? So we decided that we will move away from the way we are trying to tell our story and build a new storyline of what Sambash is all about. Okay, so hence we went in and we said, fine, let us revamp our stuff. I'll just use my own system. Sorry. Coming up. I'll just use this. I think it's not coming up on the board. Anyway, check it out.
I think it's you're on a different screen.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is where I said, fine. What am I doing? Okay. So I'm essentially helping organizations to have exponential growth in the revenue. Through what? Through the ability to do virtual sales and marketing effectively 24/7, which essentially means that your website or my website becomes the engine of growth, because every single digital presence or social presence ultimately leads back to your front door, which is your website. And how do I turn that every single click and every single visit into an effective lead and into an effective marketing proposition is what happens. So today, when we did our story of Unilever, or where we did Open Innovation, or Leeton, where it's an education company which has used our system to generate marketing leads and to convert leads into sales. Essentially what we're doing is every single thing that's happening on our website gets tracked, gets funneled, gets tagged into a specific lead. A lead becomes an opportunity, and the opportunity gets cut across marketing team, the sales team, and the operation teams. So when we're doing this, we're enabling a conversation actually in a way. The conversation is starting off from your social asset. You bring it back into your presence, into your web presence, and convert that web presence back into an opportunity. So as we do that, we also realize that conversation also means a future of work where we can create a connected productive environment, because the assets that you use for your sales and marketing is the same asset that gets used internally by your operation people. Vice versa, whatever the operation people uses gets converted to a marketing material. So how do you make this seamless flow? In very simple terms, it is a digital assets. Your audio, video, your collection of documents, your collection of artifacts that you're flowing internally through your own internet portal, or through whatever sharing systems you have, or through any emails that you have, or document libraries. Everything gets connected back into the same web system. So in effect, your external world and the internal world is getting collapsed into one mega platform or one mega way of how you're actually collaborating. The collaboration runs across internal users and external users and your potential marketing leads. So they come in all the way, they start coming into the place. So this results into creating of a community of customers and prospects, where now you start engaging them. So as you engage them, you also start listening to conversations that is happening outside, which is where you start doing a eavesdropping of trying to see what is the sentiments about the company, who are the influencers, who are the detractors, how do you start pulling them all together into place, right? So how do we use this for innovation, for example? In a case of innovation, internal challenges are known to the business people, the marketing people. So in the case of Unilever, for example, the marketing engine knows what is the problem in the field. Now when they put up these challenges, it floats up to the so-called marketing community or to the business owners, who then decides which of these challenges needs to be serviced or to be addressed. But any company will only have limited R&D budget. So a large company like Unilever may have a couple of $1 billion, a smaller company may have $200 million. But out there in the startup world, there is about 120 billion being funded in lots of different startups who can potentially help large organizations to scale up their or solution or solve the problem. So what we do in this case of using sales and marketing or future of work is essentially create a community of all of this information, flow it up internally to the business owner, get the project sanctioned off, then get it marketed through your digital and social channels. And as people start tracking back, the startup starts coming in, you see whether they're able to apply. If they apply, whether they can be selected for pitching. Once selected for pitching, whether they can deliver a pilot. If they deliver a pilot, whether they can scale. And if they can scale, can they be invested in? So what is an organization like Unilever doing is basically they're able to harness open innovation for investors to build disruptive models within the organizations. So instead of getting disrupted from outside, get disrupted internally. So that's how we are being able to do this particular transformation using our technology for a use case called open innovation. When I go to education, the same thing. When I can flow from marketing to sales to admission officers, you're using your product catalog, your product courses as a way of attracting people to come in, and the ability for them to come in and segregate this information by country, by different prices, by persona, and you market it, and you get start getting building up the leads. So when we started doing all of these things, so we started breaking down into smaller models because we realized that not all customers want everything, right? So when we want to break it down, we wanted to start saying that fine, let us start giving specific use cases, specific set of solutions, so that it becomes much more faster to roll out. Right? So this is how we are going away from enabling meaningful conversation and going to exponential growth, but trying to make it more easier for customers to start using it themselves as a self-service channel. So when we started putting it in place, we started segregating this into this many number of blocks. There's some more blocks, but we said fine, we'll restrict it to the first 16 blocks of information that comes into place. So our customers can potentially use any of this solutions. It can be just for customer experience, where you can run just the web front-end interface for an organization. It can be going down and deploying for open innovation like I spoke. It can just be for drip marketing. You don't have to change your interfaces, just run campaigns on a drip basis and try to get leads in and create a funnel, pipeline funnel. Or it can be a social commerce place where you can collect all of this information and start selling online by using the social network of the organization and the people out there. So I'll not go into many of these, but basically trying to say this is what we'd like to do. So as we started doing this, we went and said, let us do employee collaboration for ourselves. Right? Let's dog food our own product for ourselves. And this is when Chuck said, Giri, if you're doing this, why don't we try and say, make it available for a larger base of users and see if you can scale it. The idea is this. Idea is that a lot of organizations have a lot of information to share, and as you start sharing, this information are typically about customer or customer-related activities. So your discussions, your information about what your competition is doing, or about how you want your customer to grow, or how you want to analyze what your customer wants, is all happening within teams, across emails, across documents, right? So this is where the building blocks comes in terms of digital repository and employee collaboration. And we started using it for ourselves. And once we started using it for ourselves, we said, fine, we have to fine-tune this process for ourselves so that we can make it easier. So in other words, today you already have Slack, for example, which allows you to do collaboration. You used to have Yammer in the past before Microsoft bought it out, where you can go and register and create your own collaboration. So all of these things would only allow discussions to happen. You wouldn't have documents to share. If you want documents, you have to put it on a Dropbox or a Drive, then integrate it back. So what we are going out is trying to bring all of these things together onto one single platform so that you can have collaboration, study your customers, create customer records. As you start creating customer information, you collect all interactions that can happen over emails, interaction can happen over chat, interaction can happen over video calls. Everything gets integrated into a customer log. As you start doing this, you feed this back into your marketing channels, which is your drip marketing. You start seeing which of this particular customer is interested in what information. Start associating leads, scores, and see how you move these leads in terms of hotness or coldness based on duration, based on the way they are trying to deal with this, with your product. And as you do that, you start getting them into your selling process. So this is how we are trying to put all these things together. This is how it doesn't have to be selling, it doesn't have to be a dollar value selling, it can be anything that you're trying to project out and you want a response back. So as we did this, we said, fine, let us go and use our own system for ourselves. So what we did was, this is something that we've been working with Chuck. We said, fine, we will open up our own system and we'll start using it for our own use and make it available to startups who would like to use it. It becomes useful for us in terms of a startup, in terms of getting feedback, refining, and moving along as we go along. So what we are now doing is, when we want to do exponential growth, we said we'll implement our own philosophy that we are projecting to our customers for ourselves. So let's open up our system block by block, stage by stage, to end users in a fashion where we can start using people, getting people to start using it. So essentially, what we're doing now is whatever we're using over here, we're launching it as a SaaS platform where it's a sort of a prototyping or start of a mode where we want to enable these features in a freemium model, get people to start using it. I say limited number of users can be free, and then we start scaling up by users, by features. So what we're doing now is we are releasing out a version where the employee collaboration comes out, which includes the digital repository, limited for a better number of features or some number of data points. And as it scales, we want to start bringing the drip marketing into the place. As it scales, add on the ability to do campaigns. As it scales, add on the ability to allow customers to create their own product catalogs and start marketing it out. So these are features that we have already put into place where we are implementing them as for a customer. We are turning it around and say, fine, guys, start using it, and if you need any consulting help, let's call on us and we'll start figuring it out. Yeah.
Can my document library be in Google Drive or Dropbox?
It can be, but what we suggest is that instead of trying to have too many authentications and too many separate containers, bring everything into one slot. So the way we do is that we allow you to start putting up your information, start collecting it, and start detailing it and sharing it out from one single place. So you have one authentication which ties into your Active Directory or any mail service that you have. We can tie into any of the open IDs, and then you centralize all your information to one place. So in that place, in that sense, we're actually allowing you to have a Google Drive for yourself on your own in-premise or on the cloud. So you can synchronize it between your devices so that you don't have to keep your company information on another service provider, your collaboration on another service provider. And this is typically what today Slack and Yammer does. They integrate with external systems.
So are you a competitor to Slack?
No, we are actually not competitor to Slack. We are actually competitor to HubSpot in the overall solution that we have. But the way we are launching it out in terms of a SaaS platform to make it self-provision is that we are doing the route of Slack. Right? So this is the easiest and the fastest thing where people don't need any kind of training to use. Start getting it out. Right? And your discussions and all are typically going about, in our case, it's mainly about our customers. Right? So you start creating groups by customers, start going information. So whatever information you are collaborating about a customer becomes a very rich customer repository, which today no organization has it because everything is lying in emails or lying in discussion boards because you are not able to get insight out of it. So our approach is that as we collect that information, deliver the insight into the customer account, which Slack doesn't provide. But today, in the way I'm launching it, yes, I'm going to prove that Slack becomes my immediate competitor, but I'm not competing against Slack in that sense. So I'm enabling each of this so that the customer record is enriched. And as it gets enriched, you know what your customers are doing. And that remains with the organization, irrespective of whether the people come in and pay for. So we are actually dealing with something called future of work, where the work itself, we anticipate that this meeting that we're taking, that when this discussion is taking place is recorded, it automatically gets uploaded to the document library, gets analyzed, gets transcripted, and then it becomes available as information with the insight of what this discussion is all about.
I mean, my comment here is, Slack has probably 1 million features,
Yeah, it has.
I think it's quite difficult to compete with Slack or Microsoft.
No, we are not competing. That's the reason. But we do know what is that today. When you go to Slack, you need to integrate multiple systems, right? Slack provides a discussion board and provides a team collaboration, but it does not help you to analyze your own customer information. And if you're using it for a sales organization, then your sales information is sitting in another CRM, say Salesforce or HubSpot, then you do integration using Slack. Right? Then if you want to use that, you go to Salesforce. And it will only show you information in that limited sense. And that is where the issue lies for sales-driven organization, where information that you're collecting about a customer needs to flow both ways. As you key it in or as it happens. So Slack is not a competitor for us in that sense.
Giri, are you live already?
Yes, we have been. This is all our customers, right?
Yeah.
So all of these customers is what we are live with.
Okay.
Paying customer. Our issue is that we are going one customer after one customer and doing an enterprise sales. So we want to move away from B2B field sales to B2B on the cloud sales. Because our product is always in the cloud, has always been on the cloud. We never developed it in-house, right? We never put it with servers on our stuff. It's always been the cloud since 2008.
Could you turn to this page?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's quite interesting the way you structured it. Before that one, yeah. Okay, so basically you're a CRM, right?
Yes.
And you're just connected. I've used what's that called?
Zoho.
Zoho,
CRM.
and it was unfriendly. I gave up after halfway, and then there's all the data inside is captured, and then I don't know where to go. Then I have contacts from LinkedIn and databases all over the place. So you are saying you can do everything into one.
So what we have done is the basic design allows for extensibility of a customer information by their business domain.
Okay.
So we provide a standard template, wherein at the standard template you can suck in social information. Right. Sorry, you can create a basic profile. You suck in the social information of this particular customer. You then complement it with transactional information, like discussions happening becomes transactional information. Then you have interaction information. If the customer is calling you, or if you are calling the customer, it can start getting collected in one place. So customer record starts growing.
So grow. It can be a mass of information.
Yes.
So do you have AI to
So
process?
this is where the last block comes into place. This is the last one where we start putting analytics insights.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise, without it does not become useful at all. Because it's collecting information.
Yeah, correct.
So as we did all of this, we realized that we are implementing it for customer one by one. Which means we have to go into this process of RFP sales. You win some, you lose some, but you have to wait for a long time. So that is where last year when I was working with Chuck, we said, fine, that's not the way we can grow. We are going to steady growth, right?
Yeah.
But if you want somebody to come as an investor and really take it, make it fly, you need to have a model where you start offering some of this as a low value, but quicker to implement and quicker to decide on. And we decided that we'll start with employee collaboration as a starting point, because information about a customer starts collecting there. I don't want to go into a CRM implementation, because then, like you said, you've got a lot of information. So the first thing you'll ask me, can I implement, can I take it? Yes. You can always massage the data and put it up, but it's going to take you couple of months.
What do you want to do?
Yeah. So this one I can start off immediately, and as you start acquiring customers, it starts filtering it, starts making place.
So it's not correct to say employee collaboration would be more of knowledge management and information sharing, no, right?
It can
Yes,
be.
yes,
In
but-
a smaller sense, it is.
Okay.
Yes, in a smaller sense, it is knowledge management, information sharing. But once you start using it with the
Digital repository,
comprehensive learning, it starts going out of its space of employee collaboration.
I hear you.
Because I need to use, this is my problem, this is what Jack was saying. When you see enabling meaningful conversation, I lost.
Yeah.
I lost all of you. And I intentionally started to do that today so that I know.
No, you didn't lose me. That was a very good phrase.
Okay.
Meaningful conversations.
No, but what do I do?
But in a corporate vacuum chamber, no.
Yes.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And this is where we are struggling to get that message across.
I see.
So you said no, we have to make it more easier. And the best thing is that I can help you to grow faster.
Interesting. I want to talk to your Microsoft consultant.
Sure. Please. So I didn't want to make this a sales pitch, but along this journey, what I realized is this, right? So I'm just using this in the context of talking and showing. Along this journey, what I realized is that there are many turns that come, and all of us, I think, as entrepreneurs or as startup people or in the corporate life, we keep changing direction. But the direction change that I saw in myself is the fact that we thought we can just scale it up, we can put a blueprint, and we were lucky enough to get idea funding at the beginning of our journey. Normally idea doesn't give. We have to prove that we can scale up with multiple industries, so that was our proof point that we can go across multiple. We thought it's all done, right? But it's not. Because what we think we want to do and what the industry wants is different. What we think and even if the industry wants, if we're not able to communicate, that's also a challenge that we face. And the fact that things evolve. I mean, we all know these things evolve, right? So there have been days when we think we don't know what we're doing. And then there are days we know exactly what we're trying to do and we connect with the audience. And it is through that junction, through this drive, that's where I've been, when Chuck said, Giri, if you can relate back of how you did system access, which I just touched briefly, because in system access, when I use the word I, but I'm actually the subject. So in that subject sense, it allowed me to go to different places, different cultures, and allowed me to absorb so many things. He said, when you are I see you using this in your current stuff, but you don't know you're using it. The ability to interact, because we are a multicultural organization, how do you use it? How do you look at different people's ability to come into and form a team together? So when we are using the future of work, we are actually connecting. In one case, there's a company called Manarni who's using it across 16 countries in Asia Pacific. Each of the country has its own culture. So how do you make it work? How do you that knowledge that you have gained is something very valuable. It's not in books, it's not stuff, because you're dealing with different people, different language, and you're implementing it out centrally on the cloud. Right? So if you're doing it, now if you can capture that knowledge, and if you're able to make it as a SaaS provision system, then you can scale faster. Having said it, it's very easy, but doing it is tough. And that is where I have to be very grateful to him for his inputs and for his time that he spends with me once in 2 weeks, trying to sound off, trying to get into the space of where we want to be is very, very helpful. In fact, I wanted to say, Check, I'm not ready for today. Just pull me out. He said, no. Come, we'll see what you can, whatever you have, just present and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, Giri.
Thanks. Any questions?
No, thanks a lot, Giri. Really appreciate it. You're still around, right?
I'm still around.
Giri will still be around. You can probably catch up with him. Okay. Okay, so I spoke to you guys earlier about the best tech company to work for. I'll just give me about a couple of minutes. Let me just run through some of the slides. Last year we have quite a number of organizations. There are 3 groups of organizations. So the MNC will compete among the MNC, the mid-size will compete with mid-size, and startup will compete with startup. Okay, there were quite a number, and last year's winners were this, right? Microsoft and Ubisoft actually won the MNC one. Just Commodity won the SME, and Treebox won the startup, right? Which is a security company. Actually, I started this award 3 years ago because I felt that the corporates are not doing enough talent development. We are getting, in the last perhaps 15 years or so, because of the pressure of revenue, right, and profits, we have been slowly, diminishing that. So therefore we want, but there are companies who are still doing that. So therefore we want to actually put this company up to see whether, how can we learn from this organization that they are successful and yet they are developing their talent, right? This is the eligibility, right? Any organization that does and make technology products, right, or leveraging on technology as a core. 3 categories: large companies, mid-size, and startups. Right?
Government is not included.
Fortunately, because you guys are expected to develop talent. Right? But but BATC is a private company, right?
Part of Ice Point Arisa.
Oh, it's not private limited. No. Okay, so the judging process, basically we will end the application date ends about January 13th, right? Then we will start visiting and talking to the companies. Okay. This is a nomination, the packages available, right? And this is the email, right? Check. Yeah, Suisse is going to be the guest of honor, right? That's all I have this week. Okay. Next week is our last session, right? For our TecHour, and you'll be held at 5 p.m. not 12. Okay, in that classroom. Okay. I've been promised that there'll be a lot more food than pizza. So we're going to have a few speakers. One from PDPC, right? They're going to talk a little bit about, but they haven't decided what they want to talk about. But I'm trying to convince them to talk about their work in actually making in actually they're doing this work, a piece of work called privacy by design, right? So therefore, can you actually influence a startup doing privacy by design, right? So they are actually working on it. They say they're not ready, but I say, hey, not ready, just never mind, like 15 minutes, tell us where it is, you know, right? So just come and just come and tell a little bit, because to me, all these are feedback, right? Because if, let's say you're doing a big project, and halfway through, everybody's scratching their head on what you're doing, then it's a bloody waste of time, right? So you may as well, you know, engage the guys early. So that was my pitch to them. They say that, okay, they will consider, but they will send a speaker, right? So there'll be there'll be one speaker from startup, there'll be a speaker from Buzellen, right? Talking about security, right? And then we have a panel, right? 3 or 4 people, right? And I hope will be available next week, right? And I will include Lux into the panel, because I think he has lots to share on this whole area of security and privacy. And the person chairing this will be Philip Hua, and Philip will be Philip is the chairman of the Info Security SIG, right? Then between he and I start he end, right? So I'll do a quick welcome, right? So please remember to come next week. I will send out the EDM as soon as I get confirmation of the person who's speaking in PDPC, right? Pizza is ready. So again, thank you very much, Tracy, Ken, and as well as Giri.